Losing is not an option for President Trump as he refuses to back down after this week's ruling on his immigration executive order. Our next guest says it's a fight America cannot afford to lose either, and he's on the front lines of it. He has been and continues to be on the front lines of it. He's a West Point graduate, a former Army Ranger turned now lawmaker. He is Ohio Congressman Warren Davidson, and he joins us now in studio. Congressman, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks for your service and for continued service in the swamp for us. I know you're willing to get dirty on our behalf. This executive order has created some controversy for some. What's your perspective been on how it was rolled out and what needs to happen next?
Well, first of all, it's overdue. So when you look at why do we have this executive order, it's because there's leftover unfinished business about national security. There's a lot of questions that President Obama did not want to answer when we first started bringing refugees here. 30-plus governors, members of both parties, said we have some concerns about the vetting process for refugees. Director Comey had concerns, the intel community had concerns, and rather than reassuring the American people that we are going to address those, we're going to take a hard look at our current vetting process and make certain that it is national security focused. We turned it into a partisan issue, and I don't think we've fully recovered from that because of the rhetoric.
Such a great point, and we're going to put up a quote from Comey about this. This is not an issue that's come out of nowhere. There's been a recognition that a refugee vetting process has been broken for quite some time. But President Trump just tweeted, just a couple of minutes ago, a tweet on this very issue. He tweeted, "Our legal system is broken. 77% of refugees allowed into U.S. since travel reprieve hail from 7 suspect countries. So very dangerous." To his point, those folks have been coming in fearful that they won't be able to get in. What does that say to you?
Well, that's why you would want to launch it without a lot of advance notice.
Yeah.
And what you've given now is a large and undefined window of advance notice. And to be fair, absolutely, the president did respect the courts. We have a long history. First and foremost, the oath is to support and defend the Constitution.
Yep.
But there has to be a constitutional way where we're doing that, and we get focused on national security, and it's risk-based. And so when you look at a risk assessment, clearly, and I join with some fellow members of Congress, members of both parties again, part of the warrior caucus that's forming, that said, hey, you've got an exception in this executive order that says we're going to do exceptions on a case-by-case basis.
Yep. Could
you please reassure us that those exceptions mean that we're going to take care of those that stood with us in the fight on the war on terror? And
that was made clear, those interpreters and others who want to come over, and that was carved out. But still, this, as you pointed out earlier, this is not a new issue. And Director Comey has made comments about our refugee process before. Here's a little bit of what he'd said in the past. He said, "We can query our databases until the cows come home, but nothing will show up because we have no record of that person. You can only query what you have collected." He's referring to countries like the 7 that were listed that are either in war-torn or don't have those systems. We don't know who these people are. How dangerous is it when we're admitting people into our country now with advance notice, so they're flooding in, and we don't know who they are?
It is very dangerous, and that's an ongoing issue with people that we're intentionally bringing in. Surely we're intentionally bringing in refugees. We want to help them. We're a compassionate country. Frankly, we're helping them as close as possible to their home in many cases, and that's a better solution. And then when we do bring people into the United States, because you don't have anything until you've collected it, why not have a collection period? And so you go through that process. The vetting process it's a pause. It's a tactical pause. This is something that's done in battle. You take a tactical pause. Let's make sure this is just in sports. You take timeouts sometimes. This is a timeout to say, hey, let's make sure the play call we've got here is right.
Such a great point. A timeout, a tactical pause. You said in your Ranger training, you guys would time and time again say, don't hope, know. Right now we're hoping people that we're letting in love our country, but we don't know. Isn't this process ultimately about making sure that people come here, love America, and want to be Americans?
That's right, and it is that, and it's been done before. Frankly, part of it is the rhetoric and not the actions. And so the courts didn't intervene when President Obama took similar actions or previous presidents took similar actions. The reality is, under our Constitution and the body of law, the president does have a lot of discretion in terms of enforcing who comes and goes in our country. Sure. Particularly with respect to non-citizens. Yep,
absolutely. If you're a non-citizen, you're not here, then the Constitution and its protections don't necessarily apply, as we know. So, Congressman, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much
for being here in studio.